I'm Jayne Mansfield. I'd like you to come along with me. I want you to share some of the wild, way-out experiences I had during my last trip around the world.
Jayne Mansfield was on her way to becoming the blonde bombshell of the 60s, having already achieved a great deal of success as an actress, singer, and even early Playboy Playmate. Sadly, her life would end tragically on a highway outside of Biloxi, Mississippi. Her death was said to have been caused by a curse gone awry. But was the curse nothing more than a publicity stunt arranged by the founder of the Church of Satan? How did Hollywood's sex siren meet such a tragic and gruesome death? The Paranormal Aftermath. It seems that Jayne's supposed curse lingered past the iron gates of her estate and into the lives of those who visited and lived within the Pink Palace's walls. But was it Jayne's angry spirit responsible for the strange occurrences that scared off the estate workers and new tenants? Who knows? The ghost can't help it. This is the true crime and paranormal aftermath of Jayne Mansfield, Hollywood's blonde tragedy.
Hello everybody, this is Jason.
And Aaron.
And we are the hosts of the For Better or Worse podcast. Like most couples, we have pretty different tastes.
There's a lot of things we agree on, of course, but it can be pretty difficult to find something to watch at the end of the day.
She likes comedies, love stories, and dramas.
And he likes anime, horror, sci-fi, and fantasy.
So we both thought it would be fun to force each other to watch our favorite movies, shows, or anything else we can think of, and record it here for you guys.
The show is a lot of fun, and it's not always torture. Sometimes we actually come around to each other's side.
We would love for you guys to give us a shot, so download For Better or Worse anywhere you listen to your favorite shows, and join us in the fun.
We can't wait to share our experiences with you.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hello.
It's the moment you all been waiting for.
My bar mitzvah?
Stop! I'm coming out.
I can basically just hear every listener turn their podcast off. No, we're not doing this today. Sorry, friends.
That's right. It's bar mitzvah if it's a man or a young boy.
Bat mitzvah for a woman.
For
young
a woman,
yes.
Oh my goodness, Bryce.
We're so... I don't even know. We're so dumb. That's what we are. Look, everyone, it's so hot in Los Angeles right now. We might be having heat strokes, so
yes.
Send us ice cream.
Yes.
And please excuse our insanity.
Exactly. It is so hot here. I swear to God, I thought I saw the devil sitting in our room last night.
Yes.
I really did. It is really, really hot. What is today's temperature? 100 and
I thought it was just 100, but we might be over that.
Yeah.
It feels worse in the valley anyway.
It does, because I went to visit a friend a couple of days ago in Long Beach, and it was a nice, brisk 72 degrees. It was so lovely over there.
It is a particular kind of hell to have to choose between like being able to afford your rent and like having a heat stroke, because that's kind of the choice. Like, yeah, if you want to live by the beach, like great, that'll be $6,000 a month, or you can live in the valley for the reasonable cost of $2,500. He said while weeping. But you will die of heat stroke. So,
oh yeah, for sure. It's all about location.
Choices.
Location. What are you willing to sacrifice for that?
That's too real.
Yeah, my health.
I know.
But fuck it. At least I'm down the street from a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Done.
That's all that matters. He said, sipping his Starbucks.
Exactly. Guys, we are armed with our Starbucks today because if you've been following us on our social media, you know that we're going to be talking about another amazing and very scandalous blonde bombshell, or as we like to call the blonde tragedy, Jayne Mansfield. I know. So Jayne Mansfield was a huge figure in the 60s, and you know how we're going to do in this episode. In all of our episodes, we're going to take you through a historical walkthrough. Pretty much what we're going to do is do a prologue of what a blonde bombshell was.
Yes. How
this phrase came about, and how the industry dumbed down women especially blondes.
Oh, be prepared, friends. I'm going to go on a feminist tirade, the likes
Both
of
of us.
which
Both of
this town has never seen.
I was just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh.
But it wasn't just blondes. It was all women.
All women.
All of them. But blondes were the main target.
Yeah.
Blondes really don't have fun. I
No.
mentioned this before in our Marilyn Monroe
Yes.
2-part series. They really don't.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go into the characters of this Holly Weird tale. And then we're going to segue into the strange relationship of Anton LaVey and Jayne Mansfield. Bryce is going to take us to church and preach about that, as well as the accident. And
Yes.
then the moment you all have been waiting for, ghosts.
Ghost.
Oh, Jayne Mansfield ghosts.
Oh my god.
Booze with boobs.
Get out.
Like a 40 G6.
Damn.
Like a G6. Like a 40 G6.
I knew that's what that song was about. I knew it.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, in my career as being a costume designer, I think I've only encountered one woman with that bust size.
Wow.
And I mean, she really literally walked with her chest.
Yeah.
Jayne
I mean,
did
you'd
too.
have to, I
Yeah.
feel like.
Yeah.
How could you not? Even if you weren't trying. Damn.
Yeah. The girls. I'm here with the girls.
Hey.
40 and G right there.
Damn.
All right, guys. So let's start with a little history before we hit the mystery and the ghosts. Oh, and before I enter the prologue, we're also going to be doing our drawing
Yes.
for the spirit board. We decided to do a little raffle with our friends at Paranormal Supplies.
Hi.
If you've also seen our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, they provided us with our own special spirit board with our logo. Bryce was very excited
Yep.
to receive it.
That is a word that we could use. Yes, yes. I have a list of some other words, but sure.
Excited is we'll just start with that. Yeah. And they also gave us another one for this amazing drawing. So we'll
Thank you
be
so
doing
much.
that as well after we talk about the ghosts and our spiritual bays. So real quickly, guys, let's talk about this blonde bombshell phase. Now, according to Wikipedia, because we got to Wikipedia this shit, a blonde bombshell is a gender stereotype that connotes a very attractive woman with blonde hair. In contemporary pop culture, it is often stereotyped that men find blonde women more attractive than women with other hair colors. How do you feel about that? I feel like guys have a taste.
Sure.
And let's not be, prejudiced about this. Both men and women have a taste. Yeah.
I do have a lot of opinions about this. I personally love when blondes dye their hair dark. I find it so attractive because their eyes, because a lot of blondes happen to have blue eyes as well.
Right.
And it makes their eyes like little laser beams because you don't notice it as much. I will say I had a friend in college, and one friend, and she was blonde almost her entire life, and then she dyed it like a chestnut brown.
Ooh.
And well, first of all, I told her to dye it like dark, that if she was gonna like do it, go like all the way. And so it was like, I would say on a scale of like 1 to 10, it was like a 4 to 5. It was like blondish brown, really. And she had like full on identity crisis because of it. She's like, you don't understand. People don't look at you when you're not blonde. She like changed and went back to blonde like weeks later.
Really?
And she was like a big personality. She was like really gregarious and fun, and she was like in all of like improv, and she studied at Second City. And
Oh my God, wow.
Oh yeah, like so it wasn't that she had like a hard time being seen or heard or like making her presence known. Like she was such a fun, enigmatic person to be around. And she's like, there's something about blondes when you walk in a room and people turn to see what that is. And it like gave her a full on identity crisis. And she like went back to blonde for the next like decade. And now she kind of dyes her hair red, which I think is kind of the new blonde.
Ooh.
If you like look at commercials and things right now, like every woman is like a redhead essentially.
Yeah, well, like I said before in our Maryland episodes,
Yes.
a lot of the actresses now are going darker with their hair. Well, especially with the Kim Kardashian, the
Yes.
Kardashian phase.
Oh, bless.
Bless. Women are dyeing their hair darker because In the industry now, it's been known and said that it's easier to light dark hair or women or men of color. It's true. And they're not casting a lot of blondes. Even my assistant a couple years back dyed her hair dark brown just so she could get more roles. Yeah. Which is really odd. It's
the industry
crazy.
is fickle and stupid.
Oh, it's very fickle. It's always changing, ever evolving.
That very aggressive, like manic pixie dream girl, like Zooey Deschanel, Katy Perry, blunt, dark.
Yes.
Katy Perry pre-cultural appropriation. Like, come on. But you know what I mean? That's that very like new girl and like all of that. Like she's so quirky, and we're really trapped in that like moment right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
And obviously, we can look at like film history and see that is like a new development, whereas like blonde bombshells really dominated the 50s and 60s.
Oh, we'll definitely touch into that right now. Even in the 20s with Anita Loos.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Anita Loos popularized this idea in her 1925 novel, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And this was a very popular novel. And in the 50s, we even had Alfred Hitchcock preferring blondes himself, giving his cast of tragic blonde heroines the term the Hitchcock Blonde. Now, the blonde bombshell is one of the most notable and consistently popular female character types in cinema. Many showbiz stars have used it to their advantage, including Jean Harlow, Mae West, Marlene Dietrich, Marilyn Monroe, rest in peace, Jayne Mansfield, rest in peace, Brigitte Bardot, Mamie Van Doren, and much, much more.
Yeah.
Now, Jean Harlow started the stereotype with her famous film, Bombshell. And following her, Monroe, Mansfield, and Van Doren helped establish the stereotype typified by a combination of curvaceous physique and very light hair color, and with a perceived lack of intelligence. So at this time, they could look gorgeous and beautiful and voluptuous, but we're going to dumb them down. Now, during the 1950s, the blonde bombshell started to replace the femme fatale as the mainstream media stereotype, which is so true, because if any of you guys have seen Bombshell with Jean Harlow, anything with Jean Harlow and Mae West back in the day, women, especially blonde women, but women in general, were strong, they were very grounded, and they were fierce. And they were so quick, and carried this confidence. And now we see how the industry in the 50s dumbs them down. Oh, they're still glammed up, but they're just completely dumb. Now, Marjorie Rosen, the historian of women in films, says of the two top blonde bombshells of the time were Mae West firing off vocal salvos with imperious self-assurance, and Jean Harlow merchandising her physical allure for the masses, transformed the idea of passive female sexuality into an aggressive statement of fact. So true. But it seems as though the industry wanted to take a different direction.
Leave it to a man.
Leave it to a man, because a lot of men at the time ran and called the shots in these studios, in these production houses, everywhere. Blondes, they were glamorous, but they really didn't have a lot of fun, guys. They really didn't. They were degraded and dumbed down. And it just wasn't blondes. It was everyone in the spectrum.
Literally, let's just start. We've talked about this many times in previous episodes, so
Right.
I am sorry to repeat it, but you kind of can't escape it, how much control the studios had over...
Yes.
It's not just women. I think women really got, like, one of the shorter ends of the sticks. I think a strong argument can be made for people of color, any minority, but like you look at Rock Hudson and like what they were doing to like hide his homosexuality.
Oh yeah.
What they were doing to women. You look at Judy Garland, for example, Marilyn, of course, where they're just
Judy had the worst.
Oh, just ruining these people's lives because
Judy had the
essentially
worst.
they were
Yeah.
moving props for the studios, and that control that they had over them. It was a make or break issue. Like, you either worked for a studio or you didn't work. It wasn't like you, like back then, someone saying you'll never work in this town again was a real threat.
It was.
Someone says that to me now, I'm like, good luck.
Whatever.
I'll go on PornTube. Just kidding. They won't
We'll
do that.
work for porn nowadays. I mean, hey, $5 billion profit here in California.
But literally, like, with the way that you can release your own content,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
someone telling you that you'll never work in this town again is laughable. Like,
I know.
Okay, I'll go make my own content.
YouTube,
then. Like,
Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Back then, there was no other. If one studio was like, that's it, you can't work with her, no other studio would hire you. That was it. You were done.
That's true. I was reading this book, and I eventually want to do an episode on this real soon. It's a book called Girl 23. And it's a documentary, and it talks about this poor young girl who is trying to make it big in the industry, and she gets raped at this casting call. And how the studio execs and everyone who were related to these studios, how they try to cover it up so much. And it finally came into light, this case. Her case finally came into light again, and she was able to tell her story without, being threatened by these individuals, and how the media got involved, and how the media like really tarnished her image, how the studios really tarnished her image as well. It's a crazy book, and they also did a documentary on it. It's just...
Well, look,
it makes me want to cry.
Everything that's been happening with Harvey Weinstein and
the
Bill
Me Too.
Cosby, all of the Me Too movement, that didn't just come from nowhere. It was grown and harvested in the fertile soil of celebrity culture and Hollywood in particular, protecting men who did that shit. So like,
I believe
this is not just like why did Harvey Weinstein start doing this in like the late 90s? No, he inherited a decades-long practice from the founding of this city. I mean, we say it every time. This city is a garbage hole. Like, people that come here know that they can take advantage of other people, and that's what happens. And then you have these beautiful women. Jayne Mansfield, perfect example. Moving here from Texas, dyeing her hair blonde. She really knew how to play the system, but that system was stacked against them. And it's like, look, yeah, you can get famous if you're willing to do unsavory things, and she just happened to be.
She's like, okay, yeah, I want to be famous. But here's the difference: she wanted to be famous and be taken as a serious actress. But you have to understand too, they're both two very different things, and we'll learn more about that within her story in this Hollywood tale. Oh yeah,
Trust, I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Oh, you do. But hey, brunettes too. We have it tough.
Oh, everyone.
Everyone. Look at Elizabeth Short, Black Dahlia. Selena, or as a lot of us Hispanics, and my mother included, likes to call her the Salinas, Karen Carpenter, and Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan was a brunette and a blonde and a redhead. I get that, but she's still tragic. All the way down to her vagine, she's still tragic.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Like, you can look at her, and we do this. We sort of put these women in particular.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know we're really going on this, but it just gets me so fired up because we do this thing where we hypersexualize children. Oh, she's 14. She's so sexy. Millie Bobby Brown is such a good example.
Millie Bobby Brown, Bella Thorne, Selena Gomez.
It's look how sexy she is. She's
14.
That's a 14-year-old.
That's disgusting.
You don't get to talk about her like that. And so then they hypersexualize themselves.
Yeah.
Look at Miley Cyrus. Look at Lindsay Lohan. Look at Amanda Bynes. And then we criticize them and sacrifice them on the altar of propriety, and then judge them and literally banish them for lashing out and for becoming addicted to drugs and for being crazy and for not honestly just being good, quiet girls who sit there and take it. That's what it really comes down to. And it's bullshit.
It is.
Because we do this. Not maybe us in particular. I don't follow publications that talk about women like that because it's ridiculous. But as an industry on the whole, it's a known secret. That's why when you hear these things coming out about the Me Too movement, it's well, yeah, it's a known secret. If you slept with Harvey Weinstein, you probably got a movie deal out of it. Yeah. Is it right? 100% not. But is there always going to be someone willing to pay that price? Yes. And if you remember in our Marilyn episode, she talks about that in her diaries. I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it, but I always knew that there was a line of women right outside that door who were willing to do what I wouldn't be willing to do. And so I always did it. How fucking heartbreaking.
It is.
And very, Jayne Mansfield was one of those women. Yeah. Literally, just knocking at the door.
They were all in line. They wanted to see and be these women on film.
Yeah.
And they were willing to almost sell their soul.
Oh, 100%.
Very, very, very terrible. Well, guys, it's at the point of our episode where we get to know these victims not just as victims, but as people. And we start with our girl, Jayne Mansfield. Now, Jayne Mansfield was born Vera Jane Palmer on April 19th of 1933 in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. She was the only child to Herbert Williams Palmer and Vera Jeffrey. She spent her early childhood in Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Her father was an attorney, and unfortunately in 1936 he suffers from a heart attack and dies. And this leaves a very big void in little Vera's life. So in 1939, her mother remarries sales engineer Harry Lawrence Pierce, and the family moves to Dallas, Texas. As a child, she wanted to be a Hollywood star like Shirley Temple, so she begged her mom to please put her in, dance and ballet classes. Eventually, Vera graduates from Highland Park High School in 1950. While in high school, Vera took up violin, piano, and viola lessons. She also studied Spanish and German. She was very inquisitive. She was like the sponge. She wanted to learn more and more and more. Now, at the age of 17 in January of 1950, Vera secretly marries Paul Mansfield and becomes the mother of their first child, Jayne Marie Mansfield. And she spent the next couple of years juggling motherhood and college classes while her husband was in the army. But in 1953, she discovered her love for acting and appeared in the stage production of Death of a Salesman, which we just did at our job, and I like to call it Death of My Sanity.
Yes.
Because it is a huge Arthur Miller show.
Thank you, Arthur Miller. You've really done some great things, but damn, girl.
No, that was a huge show to put up. It's pretty intense, but it could be a good show if you cast the right people.
Yeah.
Living in Texas, she won several beauty contests, but few had any idea just how smart she was. She had an IQ of 163. Here we go again, vetting for this girl. She's really smart. Just like Marilyn, she's really, really smart. And by the time she spoke up to 5 languages, 5 different foreign languages. So she later admitted, though, that she knew the public didn't care about her brains. They were more interested in her size and the size of her breasts. You see, Vera had a bust size of 40G, 21 waist, 32 hips. Damn.
She really looks, when you look at pictures of her, or like film especially, like when she moves, it looks like a Barbie has come to life.
Oh, yeah.
Like her waist does not look possible. You're just like, wait, what? Well, what am I?
Undergarments back in the 50s.
Oh, sure. Of course.
Because I took this class in grad school about undergarments. And in the 50s, they were extremely restrictive. Women had to wear girdles with garters and hosiery complemented with a waist cincher or, a tri-stretch corset. And that's what they did. It was like, pull it all the way to the point where it's a size 20, size 21.
Leave it to a man.
Leave it to a man.
That is the theme for this.
Seriously.
To like invent something like, it's fashion. You'll just squish your guts out.
It was the hourglass figure. So she, with those measurements, she literally busted her way into Hollywood. Now, Paul Mansfield had hoped that Vera would lose her interest in acting. Paul. But when she didn't, he ended up moving both of them to LA with little Jayne to try to start a movie career. So both of them were actual, starving artists. Between working at a variety of odd jobs, Vera becomes Jayne and bleaches her hair platinum blonde while she studied drama at UCLA. Her film career began with bit parts at Warner Brothers, which had signed her after one of its talent scouts had seen her in a production at the famous Pasadena Playhouse.
Yes.
She started with small roles and then won a larger part in a dramatic film called The Burglar. And it wasn't released until 2 years later when Jayne's career was at its peak and she was known for much different kinds of roles. And The Burglar was a very different role for her because it was a very serious film. Now, her big break came from a stage production, Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, in which she first appears wearing nothing but a towel. Oh, gasp. After that, she starred in a camp comic film, the famous The Girl Can't Help It, in 1956. Yeah, The Girl Can't Help It.
I started to sing it. I was like, that's never going to clear. Oh, no.
So she played an outrageously voluptuous, beautiful, tone-deaf girlfriend of a retired racketeer. The film features some early performances by the famous and late Fat Dominoes, the Platters, and my little favorite, Little Richard, successfully introducing rock and roll to many movie audiences. And this was a huge, huge film because in the 50s, and especially in 56, this is when rock and roll was huge.
Yes.
And for this film to incorporate rock and roll and Jayne Mansfield, perfect sandwich right there. Little Richard did the whole, I think the intro music for it, the main music for it, and everything. So in May of 1956, she signed a contract with 20th Century Fox and played a straight dramatic role in the John Steinbeck-based film The Wayward Bust. She tried to get away from the dumb blonde image and establish herself as a serious actress, but she ends up winning a Golden Globe for New Star of the Year, beating out Carol Baker and Natalie Wood. Get it, girl. In 1957, she reprised her stage role in Will Success' Spoil Rock Hunter with Tony Randall and Joan Blondell, two big stars. So in January of 58, Jayne divorces Paul Mansfield, which was a very sticky divorce.
Hi, Paul.
Gee, I wonder why. But Paul didn't like the direction her career was taking her, especially after she went against his wishes to pose nude for Playboy. She was offered, Playboy centerfold, and he was like, don't do it. Don't. You know the type of women that pose for Playboy, Jayne?
Ugh.
Because at the time, you were a certain type of woman if you did that.
Sure.
And Jayne was a mother, and she was married. So Paul didn't like it. Jayne goes and poses for Playboy. She picks Playboy and her career over her marriage to Paul. So in August of 56, Paul Mansfield sought custody of their daughter, Jane Marie, alleging that Jayne was an unfit mother because she appeared nude in Playboy. So there you have it.
Oh, Paul.
So Jayne's heart was broken, but not for long. She continues to work and soon ends up meeting and marrying actor, bodybuilder, and Mr. Universe title holder, Mickey Hargitay.
Yes.
So Mickey Hargitay, guys, was born Miklos Hargitay in 1926. He immigrated from his native Hungary to the U.S. after World War II. He became interested in bodybuilding in the 1950s and was named Mr. Universe, Mr. America, and Mr. Olympia in 1955. He parlayed his perfect physique into a performing career with Mae West, because Mae West had a performance with two muscle men, Hargitay being one of them. And this is a bit of a funny story, but this is how they met. So it turns out that Jayne stole Mickey from Mae West.
Love it.
And he was one of, Mae's performers, and they were, I guess, messing around. I think that he was her side, side bae. Let's just put it that way.
Look, if you have a chance to sleep with Mr. Universe, you take that chance.
If you have a chance to sleep with Mae West, you take that chance.
There is the real one. Go. Yeah, you're right. Because Mr. Universe is on testosterone.
That's a mighty good figure, honey.
Oh. Yeah, she could get it.
Put your two lips together and blow. I'll tell you where.
I bet you will.
So one evening, Mae and Jayne were performing at the same event. Jayne notices Mickey, and Mickey immediately notices Jayne. They're both thirsty for one another. They talk. The chemistry is instant, and they become inseparable. Mae is pretty pissed off.
Sure.
She's really jealous, really pissed off, and Mickey tells her, I'm going to go with Jayne. And they end up being together. So Jayne was the Becky with the good hair and the size 40G bust girl.
Yes.
Yes. So that's the thing. Let's talk a little bit about her bust and wardrobe malfunctions. Let's segue into this. You see, her busts were another story, and even in the height of her career, they pretty much made her career. Her breasts were a part of her notorious publicity stunts that were arranged to deflect attention away from even the famous Sophia Loren and Jane Russell. Now, the whole story, this is a famous story with Sophia Loren during a dinner in the Italian star's honor. Photos of the encounter were published and made because it shows, the famous picture shows Loren raising an eyebrow, or what I like to call the eyebrow of shade, at Jayne, looking at her like, this bitch. Because in the photograph, Jayne has this low cut
it's
collar
insane.
dress.
It is defying gravity.
It is really insane. And before this event, there was this movie premiere that starred Jane Russell, and Jane Russell was doing promotions for it in this pool, and she was wearing a bikini. Jayne being like, oh, well, I'm going to just be, just in the background in my bikini. They see Jayne Mansfield walking into the pool. She takes a dive, and oops, her top accidentally, with finger quotes, tons of finger quotes, pops off. And she's like, oh my God, my bazookas are just way too big for this top. Like a 40 G6.
Yeah.
like.
And essentially like overshadows the entire like press junket.
Yeah, she was very thirsty
for
publicity.
In a lot of ways, she really was like the first like publicity like seeker in that way.
Oh yeah,
that's we'll talk about this a little bit more, but I think that is the main difference between like her and Marilyn. Is that Jayne Mansfield, in my opinion, wanted to be famous.
Yeah.
She was willing to be famous at any cost and sought that more. And I think when you really look at Marilyn Monroe, she was more famous, but she wanted to be an actor. And you can see that in like where they spend their time and like what projects they sign on to. And once they start like losing control, where their like respite and like energy starts getting diverted towards. We'll obviously continue to get into that, but this is like the start of that. You really see, I think at the time of the Underwater movie premiere, that she was signed to Warner Brothers, but that she hadn't had anything like released yet. Or I don't remember the exact timeline, but it was very early on.
Yeah, I think she was.
And then like literally the week after this incident, all her movies start coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Because she made such a splash. Yeah, I can't avoid it. I'm sorry.
A splash. She busted her way into this.
And like it was
way.
all planned. Like later it comes out that she had like hired a management team because she was getting frustrated with Warner Brother because they like weren't moving fast enough. And they're like, here, this top is like size is small for you.
Yeah.
It will fall off when you jump in the pool. Go, and we'll use the publicity to like get you what you want. And it worked like a charm.
The wonders of PR, guys.
And of a bosom.
I have friends that work in PR, and let me tell you, I have stories. Oh, I have tons of stories.
PR reps win Oscars.
Oh, yeah, they should. They should be given a big reward.
Sorry, what I mean is that like your acting is important, but like it's your PR person who snags you the prize.
It's always about good PR. So Sophia Loren, she was a little jealous of what was going on. There was a quote in an interview that she did. I think it was with VanityFair.com. She points to the picture and she's like, "Look at this picture. Look at my eyes. I'm staring at her nipples because I am afraid they're about to come onto my plate." I was like, yeah. She was like, I don't care. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Like her nipples, they're very obvious. So Jayne was also notorious for famous wardrobe malfunctions on the red carpet with her purposefully low cut collar dresses, which allowed her breasts to, fall out at any given chance. She was the gal who literally invented the nip slip. Especially way before Tara Reid. Talk about being busted now. Jayne's marriage to Mickey lasted only 5 years, and they were truly in love with one another. Studio execs, especially from Warner Brothers, told her that she shouldn't marry Mickey, but the girl can't help it. She went ahead and she did it anyways. They were really in love with one another the first couple of years. Mickey more than Jayne. We'll find out why. They were pretty much the Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie back in the day because they were beautiful, successful, and nicely tanned. So Jayne ends up buying her pink palace for a whopping $75,000. The house was a 40-room Mediterranean-style mansion that once belonged to singer Rudy Vallee in November 1957. Jayne had the house painted pink with cupids surrounded by pink fluorescent lights, pink furs in the bathroom, a pink heart-shaped bathtub, and a fountain spurting pink champagne. Mickey Hart, I know. Hello, Kitty.
Money cannot buy taste. I will always say that.
I agree.
Bless.
Mickey Hargitay built her a heart-shaped swimming pool with the words "I love Jayne" on the floor of the ground level of the pool. It was really, really sweet.
It's sweet, but I'm also gagging. Like, oh.
But that's love.
I guess.
That is love when a man's like, I'm willing to live in a pink palace with this woman. That is love. Yeah. And to me, he was kind of like the Joe DiMaggio to Marilyn Monroe, except that he didn't, smack her around.
Sure.
Mickey fixed it to her specifics, and like I said before, that is really love. Like he was willing to do anything for Jayne. Now, during this marriage, she had 3 children: Mikolos, Zoltan, and Mariska, an actress currently known for her role as Detective Olivia Benson in Law & Order Special Victims Unit. Life was sweet for Jayne, but with the sweet comes the sour. Jayne soon becomes restless and eventually ends up calling the relationship off between her and Mickey. She calls the relationship boring at one point. Mickey is devastated. So in 1962, she has a well-publicized affair with Enrico Bomba, the Italian producer and production manager of her film Panic Button. Hargitay accused Bomba of sabotaging their marriage, and this is true. Like, it takes two to tango,
Yes.
Mickey, and Jayne couldn't do wrong in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
She really couldn't. She could tell Mickey, babe, the sky's pink, and he's like, whatever, Jayne. Yes, whatever. And in his mind, like, he really didn't see Jayne cheating on him. No, it was Bomba coming in between them. No, we had a perfect marriage, and this man came between us.
Aww.
It was really sad. I know that he really loved her. To the day he died, even after he remarried.
You can even hear when he like talks in interviews.
Oh, yeah.
You could hear in his voice the sort of like admiration, and it's
Oh,
almost
for
like a little
sure.
puppy. Like he's just
No,
so
he really-
enraptured with her.
He really loved her, and you can see that love.
Yeah.
Like,
It's very sweet.
yeah, it was very, very sweet. So Jayne got a Mexican divorce in Juarez in May of 1963. The divorce was initially declared invalid in California, and the two reconciled in October of 1963. After the birth of their third child, Mansfield sued for the Juarez divorce to declare legal and won. Their criminous divorce battle had the actress accusing Hargitay of kidnapping, and this is true, kidnapping one of the children to force a more favorable financial settlement.
Damn.
Mickey took the separation from Mansfield and her breasts pretty hard, I tell you. No, he was really like devastated. So Mansfield then marries Matt Cimber, aka Matteo Octaviano, an Italian-born film director, when he directed her in a stage production of Bus Stop in Yonkers, New York. Now, she marries him in September of 1964 in Mexico. Jayne and Matt introduces her fifth child, Tony, and soon the couple separates in July of 1965, barely a year, and filed for divorce July of 1966. Cimber took over managing her career during their marriage and guided her whole, movie stardom through a series of increasingly tawdry projects like Promises, which made her the first mainstream actress to appear nude in a film, which back then was a huge no-no. And it kind of caused her career to sink down.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so sad because her career was already like toilet bowling a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
And like, not that anyone has to listen to me about career advice. I clearly don't, like, you know what I mean? I'm not like on TV being like, well, with my Emmys, I did this. But it's so sad because when she started her career, she was so smart and she chose such good projects, and she went to Broadway for a while to like kind of get some cred behind her name. And I remember I was watching this one documentary about like her career specifically, and I just kept thinking like, go to New York, just go to New York. And she just instead keeps doing these like increasingly bad movies.
Yeah.
And then like community theater, like, and that's how she met this director. And she kind of gets trapped, her whole career, they sort of marketed her as like the quote king size Marilyn Monroe, which is super fucked up, but like fine, that's what they marketed her as.
They marketed her as a lot of things.
Yeah, but
too.
like that was the
that
thing.
was the thing.
At the time, 20th Century Fox had both of their contracts, and they full on like hired Jayne Mansfield as like insurance against Marilyn Monroe's like increasing irrationality, essentially.
That's when she refused to do the film. I think it was The Girl with the Pink Stockings.
Yeah.
And that's when they brought Marilyn number 2.
Yeah, and they
Jayne.
did. They just had her like basically
On
to kind
standby.
of like, well, like blackmail against Marilyn Monroe. Like, well, we'll just get Jayne Mansfield. And Marilyn hated that, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But also was like dealing with her own issues. Like, check out our episode because she also had her own issues. And so it's like so sad because then now Jayne Mansfield is trapped in this like, you're like a second rate. Like, she starts out as like being touted as the king size Marilyn, and it's like kind of going pretty well for her. And honestly, she's like the main contender for Marilyn's crown. Like the other ones, not really, but like Jayne Mansfield really like was on the way to being like as big as Marilyn. And then it kind of gets flipped, and she becomes this like joke almost of like, you're the like poor man's Marilyn. And so by this point in her career, now she's doing like the community theater version of Bus Stop, like you just said. And she's like, oh, don't do shows that Marilyn's done, like don't date a director like Marilyn's done, like don't do all these things that Marilyn's done. She had like an alleged affair with JFK, like all these things.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you're just feeding into the like rumors and the opinion that you're like a B list Marilyn.
Because
it's so heartbreaking.
It really is heartbreaking. And you're right. Like, she was following these footsteps, these really bad footsteps.
Oh, and she's desperate to stay famous.
And that's what I was going to run into, was she needed to stay in the limelight, and she was willing to do anything, even sacrifice her relationship with Mickey. I mean, we'll go into it later, but I felt, after researching her life and everything, I felt like if she would have stayed with Mickey, really focused on him and the family, she would have just been all right, you know?
Yeah.
But she got involved with all these other men, and it just messed her. It really, in a way, it does eventually tarnish her reputation.
Oh, 100%.
It really does.
And especially in that time in the industry, there's such an aggressive, we still kind of see it, but it's a little bit longer, thankfully, and I think it's slowly changing. But it really, the timeline of your career viability as a bombshell, as a sex symbol, they were talking about her at 31 like we would talk about an 80-year-old. Like, you know, not, I think even now we're better. Like, first of all, Helen Mirren can definitely get it. She's still sexy as hell. But, like, we don't talk about women as much this way. But they were talking about her as if she was just a complete washed up, complete has-been, complete sexless object. It's like, she's A, 31, that's not that old. And B, she has more to offer than just being, like, sexy. She's shown that, but, like, you couldn't escape the industry at that point.
Yeah.
It's so heartbreaking.
It really is heartbreaking.
And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
It's
just, there's so much to say about her because she's so tragic.
She is the blonde tragedy. It gets worse. She ends up starring in the low-budget Las Vegas Hillbillies. This was a really bad film. He pretty much did what Arthur Miller did for Marilyn Monroe. I'm talking about Simber. And he tried to do his best to get her more and more involved, but she was getting more and more involved with these low-budget films. So Mansfield's marriage to Simber began to collapse in the wake of her alcohol abuse, spousal abuse, open infidelities, and her disclosure to Simber that she had been happy only with her former lover, another one, Nelson Sardelli. So at this time, she's already, you know, tapping into the alcohol. He is also abusing her. He wasn't, don't think he was sweet with her. This guy had a temper and he smacked her around. Now at this time, Mansfield had degenerated into alcoholism, downward spirals, drunken brawls, performing at cheap burlesque shows, and even do supermarket openings. Like, she was there cutting the ribbon, and she was just getting any side job as best as she can. So by July of 1966, she started living with her attorney boyfriend, Sam Brody, who had frequent drunken brawls with her and mistreated her eldest daughter, Jayne Marie.
No, Jayne Marie, no.
I know. He beat her and Jane. So Sam's wife, Beverly Brody, filed a divorce suit naming Mansfield the 41st other woman in Sam's life.
Girl.
He was really bad. Sam was no bueno. He was, in every sense of the word, an asshole. He just wasn't a good person, and he eventually leads Jane to literally meet her fate in the physical form of Hollywood occult leader and the man who led the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey. So real quickly, Anton LaVey, born 1930, he ends up dying in 1997, was an American author, musician, and occultist. He was the founder of the Church of Satan and the religion of LaVeyan Satanism. He authored several books, including the Satanic Bible, the Satanic Rituals, the Satanic Witch, the Devil's Notebook, and the amazing children's classic, Satan Speaks. Great book to put a child to sleep.
A nice nighttime reading, yes.
According to VanityFair.com, Anton Sandor LaVey, real name Howard Levy, was a camera-ready huckster and one of the great characters of the late 60s scene. He painted his row house in San Francisco black and wore a high thread count Halloween costume. With his onks, altars, pet lion, he owned a pet lion, and home full of topless women, he was like a Hugh Hefner for the proto-goth kids. Now, in 1966, they met for the first time in San Francisco. They found each other a kindred spirit with desire to be famous and a daring to be different. Now, the pair developed a unusual friendship that some say was sexual in nature and continued to meet frequently until Mansfield's death. They met at the height of the liberating 60s when attitudes about gender, sexuality, and nudity were in flux. Satanism, considered as the pursuit of the pleasurable and successful life, found a receptive audience in thousands who flocked to California with a desire to become famous. A popular legend that might have been spread by LaVey himself asserts that he portrayed the devil who rapes Mia Farrow's character in 1968 film of Rosemary's Baby. So there you have it.
Look, I have many thoughts about many things, but this might take the whole cake. Like,
get ready, guys. Bryce is about to take us to church and preach.
I don't know if they can understand the height of the soapbox that I'm about to stand on.
Oh, he is.
Here's the thing. This clown is not talking to Satan. Like, let's just start there. Like, it's so absurd to me that he's in like a little black Satan costume and is like walking around with like gaudy jewelry and like skulls, and it's like, you look like a bad Party City ad. Like, get out of here. It's so ridiculous. Like, all of this stuff, and he's like releasing albums, and he's like got like, stop. Like, I don't want to presume to speak for the devil, but I just find it so tacky. Like, it is ridiculous. And I'm sorry, if there are any Church of Satanists listening, I'm not trying to offend anybody.
No.
But this man is a buffoon. Like, it is
was
ridiculous.
It was the perfect media recipe.
100%.
And he was a character. In my opinion, he played and portrayed a character. He was like the Count from Sesame Street, you know? Like,
yes. It's that thing, the right person meeting the right moment in history, like you were saying. Like, the 60s, the whole era was shifting. There was a real rebellion against the sort of like wholesomeness of the 50s.
Oh, 100%.
And then this man rolls up with his black house and his fucking lion. And it's just like a tabloid wet dream. Like, of course he's in it. It's so... I was watching it and reading the article about him. I was just like, okay, let's
Your
just...
eyes cannot roll back.
I mean, again...
any further.
Maybe I'm off base. Maybe Satan really is a gaudy, tacky boob. But, like, it just seems to me that, like, that is not what... Like, that's not who's speaking to Satan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because that was his claim, too.
Oh, yeah, that he had the hotline to him.
That he had the hotline, that he was, like, in communication, that he was, like, the voice of... And, like, also, the Church of Satan was founded in the 60s. Like, that's insane to me. You would think it had been around for, like, decades or centuries.
For centuries. Since the 18 or 1700s.
Apparently,
1800s.
Satan was just waiting for America. Just come on, the 60s,
Yeah,
and then
60s.
he could start doing his work. My face right now.
I really have to record our episode so you guys can see Bryce's facial expressions.
The sheer amount of hand gesturing alone.
I know. I laugh a lot into the mic because I'm looking at his face.
Just so displeased.
That is so. I mean, it is so true. The pet lion. That's another one. That was he kept this lion in the basement, and we have to bring up this film, Mansfield 66-67. You guys have to watch it.
Yes, it's really good.
It really is a good film. I know it's a little gaudy because in the beginning they have this like little intro.
I love it. They like lean into how campy it is.
I like it too because it reminds you of a 60s film. You know, it has like these little dance interludes that paint the picture of a scene. And in the film, like they show his house, they show his rituals, they show the naked women, the onks and everything, and in his house. And he had this pet lion that was living in the basement.
That cannot be good.
That is not. I don't know if that was legal in the basement.
That does not seem good.
Yeah.
Poor lion.
And then you see, you know, Jayne Mansfield being introduced to him, and it was just like media frenzy.
So they meet, and she is, like you were saying, she has now started down a path of very low level engagement appearances.
Yeah.
And it really is sort of just like a media circus that gets a little bit more desperate every go round of like, oh, well, like, what's Jayne Mansfield doing now? And like, even they kind of, it's like she becomes her own joke, essentially.
Yeah.
To the point that she like gets stranded in a boat accident allegedly, and like people don't believe her. And they're like, no, like I almost died. And I was like,
oh yeah, you can see the pictures
and
after they like rescued her.
Yeah, and like some people did believe her, like, no, you don't look that scared, that gaunt, that bad for a PR stunt. But like the general consensus is that Jayne Mansfield will do anything for publicity. And so she starts, like you were saying, she's opening grocery stores, she's performing in nightclubs, burlesque shows, very unsuccessful runs with the USO show, like all of these things that for someone who used to be a very big name in Hollywood, and these like European B-list movies, and it just is like more desperate to stay in relevance. So that then, again, right person, the right moment in history, she's desperate. She meets this man who I think is using the fear that the term Satanism would erupt in people to become a name. You know what I mean? He's doing a publicity thing as well.
Yeah.
They meet, and he makes her the first priestess of the Church of Satan. And there's like these very famous photos, if you look, of her like holding a skull, and he's like over her, and there's like an altar, and they're like these very stylized, sort of like old vaudeville circus-y kind of photos.
Yeah.
And it's a PR stunt. Like,
yeah.
Do I think that Jayne Mansfield actually believed in the Church of Satan? No, I don't.
Here's another thing that was interesting, and it almost cost her the lives of one of her children.
Yes.
Can we talk about the lion attack on little Miklos?
Let's talk about lions.
Because it turned out, I assume that they went to a zoo. It was like this animal zoo here in California that holds animals that were in films. And one of them was a caged lion that I think it was claimed to be, it was the movie lion.
The MGM lion?
MGM lion. And they meet the lion, they pet him. And you could see this too in Mansfield 66, 67. Miklos, and the kids are there. Jayne's there. Oh, let's pet the lion. And somehow, like, the lion goes back to the cage. Somehow Miklos is, disconnected from Jayne and the kids. He wanders off to go pet the lion some more, and he gets attacked. He gets mauled. The lion, he's really close to the cage, and the lion grabs him and just would not let him go.
Oh.
Yeah.
And this is the start. So there was a falling out between the man from the Church of Satan.
LeVay.
Thank you. And her then lawyer boyfriend, Sam Brody. And this is the first incident where all of a sudden this sort of like supernatural, as we like kind of segue, we love segues. This is the first event, and he says, he curses them, curses Sam Brody specifically, and one of the curses is a lion attack. He like, quote, predicts it, or like uses the lion that he has in his basement as like blackmail essentially, or like to threaten him. And then this happens.
Now, did this happen when Sam lit the infamous cursed candle, or
I think this was more of the falling out between the two of them. So obviously, right. And so then Sam gets, quote, the curse on him. And the big curse is that they're going to die in a car accident.
Yes.
And so after the lion attack, Jayne Mansfield goes back and is like, you gotta like lift this curse. I don't think she believes, but it's just too coincidental.
Yeah.
Like, if someone was like, you're gonna get attacked by a lion, I'd be like, okay, cool. And then if it actually happened, now all of a sudden you're like, I don't believe in this, but like that's a little too coincidental.
Yeah, because she in reports she stated like, I was raised Catholic, I am a Catholic. there are pictures of her with like a necklace, and
Yeah.
she has like a little cross on her necklace. So she was religious.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in the beginning, she even mentioned about this whole thing. Like, I'm interested in it. Like, she was very inquisitive, extremely inquisitive. So she wanted to learn about it. I don't think she wanted to practice it and consider it her new religion.
Sure.
She had a curiosity.
Sure.
So
Oof.
I know, but there is like, segueing into the other curse.
Right.
Yeah,
So
something
then-
happened with a candle. I think it was like Sam Brody, because it was Sam Brody is pretty much the reason why they met, and they go to his house, to LeVay's house, and they're looking at all like his knickknacks and unks and stuff like that, and there's this candle that, you know, Sam happens to light.
Look, hasn't he seen Hocus Pocus? Do not light a candle. Thackeray Binks told you. No, Sam.
I waited 100 years for a virgin to light a candle.
I mean, we've all been there, girl.
Lights a cigarette.
Yep.
Yep.
That is dumb. How dumb can you be?
According to Blanche Barton, a former high priestess of the Church of Satan and the author of The Secret Life of a Satanist, Brody showed a side of himself that was violently jealous, imposing impossible constraints on Jayne. And she was in the process of trying to ease out of the situation, but Brody was becoming only more and more protective, which is true. Because if you see the men that Jayne was involved with, they were very, you know, muscly. And
alpha male-y.
Very,
Ugh.
with like intense physiques. So
Bless.
Brody was becoming only more protective, using her pending custody suit to maneuver her deeper into a relationship. And there was this whole thing with the custody battle of her children. Sam Brody was involved, trying to keep her and her children together. Perhaps this jealousy led Brody to mock LeVay's house of satanic obscurities at any chance he could. Barton writes that he picked up a priceless object and laughed and lit a skull candle in LeVay's ritual chamber. So this was
Dumb.
an egregious act that was the last straw for LeVay. LeVay told him, "This candle is only used for curses. I don't know what's going to happen to you now. I only hope that you put it out on time."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Don't light candles.
Don't like candles.
Oh, so stupid.
Yeah, so that was a huge story.
Yeah. And also, so then after said lion attack, she goes back. She's like, you got to lift this curse. You've got to lift this curse. And then they start a string. So her and her whole family, including Sam Brody, who we hate, they're driving around the South going to all these like clubs and nightclub performances, and like they're kind of doing the like family band tour essentially. I mean, the children are very young,
The dinner theater,
like
burlesque
all of it,
shows,
all through the South, Louisiana, Mississippi, like all Texas, like really traveling and overnight, late trips, and they start getting in this like weird string of like car accidents constantly.
Yes.
I think by the time of June 28th, they'd already been in 6 car accidents in like a super short amount of time. None of them like super fatal by like degrees. Like they should have been worse, and they just keep getting in these car accidents. And it's like this weird, again, it's just like all kind of feeling coincidental or like bad luck or whatever, but also in the back of their minds, Jayne Mansfield's like, what is going on? And she like keeps trying to like reach out and like get this resolved, quote unquote, which I find very sad.
No, it really is sad. Plus, there was that, I think after the lion attack, too, like, there was that whole story of him, and this was just, like, legend.
Legend has it.
That he climbed on this mountain at night and did another ritual to try to, like, save his life. Save little Miklos's life. Because after the attack, he was on life support. Like, they didn't think he was going to make it. And that's when Jayne pleads with LeVay, like, please do something. And he does it. And it's shown in the movie, too, this little cool animation of cartoon LeVay climbing this mountain, and he does his little, like, ritual. And right after he does the ritual, Miklos pulls through.
Ugh.
And it's a miraculous recovery.
That's so creepy.
But doctors told Jayne, like, they didn't think he was going to make it because it was a pretty severe attack. And if you see pictures of little Miklos, if you Google, like, reports of his attack, like, it looked really severe.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
really, really severe. But then after that, it did lead to other car accidents.
Right.
LaVey at one point tells her, Jayne, this curse with Sam, it will follow you too.
it's gonna follow you. Yes.
And if I were you, I will avoid Sam.
Right.
1, he's no bueno. And 2, he is in a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. And 3, avoid traveling with him. Mm-hmm. He tells her this. And she's like, not today, Satan. I got to make my money. I got to make my paper.
And he's, Brody is so controlling.
Oh,
I don't know if she really had a way out.
No, she really didn't. It was
so sad.
It really, like, he really controlled her because of the kids. Mm-hmm. He's like, if you want these kids, you're going to have to do what I tell you to do, or else you're going to lose them.
Ugh.
Which was horrific.
It's just so sad. These, like, women who had, like, the taste of, like, the height of stardom, and then their life kind of devolves into, like, men controlling them. And it's just so heartbreaking.
It is. It's extremely heartbreaking. And this leads us to the accident.
Yes. So then on the night of June 28th, leading into the early morning of June 29th, they are on their way from Louisiana to Mississippi.
No, Mississippi
To Louisiana.
Yeah.
Look, all the southern states are the same. Just kidding.
It's true. It's true.
I single-handedly start a civil war. Thank you. We're not the same. And they're driving, and it's super late at night. And you were telling me, and I love this little, like, tidbit because it's such a quintessential, like, Southern mindset of, like, there's one highway through the state, and, like, good luck. That's the one.
Yeah, I talked to my mom about this accident because my mom originally is from Honduras. She traveled to the States when she was a teenager. She traveled to New Orleans in the early 60s, and she went to business school. She was her own woman. She's going to do it.
Yes.
But I asked her, I was like, Ma, what do you remember where you were and how you heard about the news? She was like, about Jayne Mansfield. And she was like, oh yeah, like, I woke up, got ready to go to school, like, before entering the bus, at the bus stop, women, men, everyone was talking about it. She gets off the bus, bam, there was this, like, newspaper stand by the school. It was just nothing but tabloids. Jayne Mansfield dead, Jayne Mansfield decapitated.
Yes. So they're driving, and essentially there's 2 schools of thought as to what happened. I'm going to start with the one that is maybe the more fantastical and just get it out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
So they're driving, and people believe that there was a fog in a very specific area around the car, and that because of that supernatural fog, quote unquote, that the chauffeur lost control of the car. They get into a horrible accident, and the chauffeur and Sam Brody and Jayne Mansfield, who are sitting in the front seat, are killed instantly, and the children who are in the back seat survive. And then there's, like, all this speculation and gossip about whether or not she was decapitated, and that she was decapitated for a satanic ritual, and that the mist was, like, supernatural, and that it was the curse coming to light. Maybe. I don't know. The version that I think is probably more likely is that they were allegedly spraying for mosquitoes, and that it's a very poorly lit highway. You were saying it's just like a 2-lane.
That's another thing too that my mom explained, because I also asked her, how was I-90 back in the 60s? And that's when you mentioned, it was just like one interstate. And she said it was one interstate going in and out of Louisiana at a time. Now Louisiana has a whopping 3. Ooh, I know. We have the I-10, the 610, and the 90. And I even remember driving on the 90 when I was young. But she was telling me too, it was just a 2-lane highway, and it was 2-way, poorly lit. Yeah,
we had one of those to get to my grandmother's house in West Virginia. And God help you if you got stuck behind a semi-truck.
Exactly.
Good luck.
Exactly.
This is where you live now.
Now they expanded it, but she was like, back then, it was just a 2-way road.
So they're on this road. It's poorly lit as is. It's a very windy through the, like, back area. You know what I mean? It's not like this nice, bright, straight highway.
No, it's not.
And there is fumigation happening. There's, like, a fumigation truck spraying for mosquitoes, which is such a common occurrence. Like, I remember in summer that happening all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
When
you
I
have
lived
to.
in New Orleans, we
You
had
have
the
to.
truck that would spray around, and
Yeah.
you can hear it.
Yeah.
So loud.
So that was happening. That is partially what contributed to the fog. There is a semi-truck that slows down because of that.
Mm-hmm.
The chauffeur doesn't see the semi-truck, and the car hits the rear of the trailer
Yeah.
and goes under, and essentially the top of the car is shorn
Yes.
clean of the vehicle. Again, leading to rumors of like her decapitation of them. But in the autopsy, the cause of death was a skull injury, I think, or what's the actual term? There's like a specific term that they use.
Her skull was smashed in.
Yeah. Let me see. There's like a word that I thought. Beep boop. I'll never be able to find it now.
But yeah, in postmortems, if you see the pictures, I mean,
Yeah.
if you even see the documentary
Mm-hmm.
Mansfield 66, 67, and if you Google the crash, I mean, they're very graphic pictures, and there's
Yes.
one picture of her on the ground, and you can clearly see that her head is attached to her body.
Yes.
But you can tell that her skull is smashed in.
Yeah, and the term I was looking for was a crushed skull with avulsion of cranium and brain. So basically, there is one of the photos where there's like, this is very graphic, so please be warned. And be warned if you look up the photos, they're pretty graphic as well. That there's like a chunk of like either her hair or wig and probably some like skull matter in a shattered part of the windshield.
Yeah.
And so that photo, which ran, led to the sort of spawn of the rumor that she was
Yes.
decapitated, when in reality it was actually her skull was crushed.
Her skull was crushed, and back then women wore a lot of weave and hair pieces.
Real.
Real. You could tell in those pictures, like, that's not her hair.
That's not
her
hair.
hair. And I know, like, Ron Harrelson, who was the bodyguard, was driving, and you can see in those pictures too. It's really bad, guys. I mean, like, with a good stomach, like, be warned, like, these are graphic. You could see, like, his head is completely smashed in. He doesn't have a face. Sam Brody, on the other hand, gets it really, really bad. He is, you see his body is burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
It's on the, he is laying next to Jayne, because apparently, like, when the crash happened, there was a fire, it broke out, and Sam was thrown out of the car in flames, and he burned to death. I mean, well, they all died in impact, but he had the worst trauma.
Yeah.
He had the worst.
And then, and that's the thing, is that the children in the back seat, they kind of escape with like minor injuries, thank God.
Right. We're forgetting about one fourth victim, the Chihuahua.
Oh, yeah.
When dogs get involved,
we
a
do
dog,
not
we just
like that.
we don't like that. You're a puppy dad.
I know. Oh, I know. The
And
worst.
when dogs get involved, she had a dog, and he was also
Yes.
crushed in the crash as well.
It's sad.
It's really sad. But yeah, thankfully, the 3 children survived, but they had suffered injuries as well. Yeah.
And it leads to this like weird little, the trucking industry adopts like the metal bar that you see on the back of trailers now.
Oh yeah, with the is it like the little decal, the red and white decal?
That's to stop cars from slipping under the trailer in the case of a collision.
That's right. It's
And
called the Mansfield bar.
It's called the Mansfield bar, yes.
Yeah.
So like some good
Came out of it, but to be, I mean,
yeah.
she had a water bottle made after her, and now
Ooh,
she had a
yes.
bar named after her because
Yeah.
of this accident,
That's how
which
you
I
know.
find kind
Yeah.
of eerie.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching this interview with Mikolos, I think it was back
Mm-hmm.
in the 90s, and it was really, it was really sad, but he was originally supposed to be sitting in the front with her.
Yes, I saw that interview too,
Yeah,
and
it
he's
made me
like,
cry. I had to stop. I had to like collect myself.
he's like, had she not like put me back, then like I would be dead. And, like,
Yeah, they stopped at a gas
ugh.
station, and for some reason, he's like, I don't know why, but she takes him to the back seat and tells him to go to sleep with his siblings.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I wanted to sit in the front with her, but she tells me, no, go lay in the back.
Oh, Miklos.
I know, and he gets so like you could hear his voice, like he gets so emotional. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, poor Miklos, you got
know.
the worst.
I know.
Poor baby.
So that's the thing, and then there's all these rumors, like, what kind of funeral is she going to have? And then she has a normal Presbyterian funeral, like,
yes.
no Church of Satan funerals, like.
Well, LaVey decides, no, I'm going to have one in my house.
Ugh.
Yeah.
What a little boob.
LaVey ends up having a Church of Satan memorial service on her behalf with 30 people in attendance.
Thanks. I'm good. Ugh, what a little...
I hope no other candles were lit
I
during
know.
the service.
Girl.
Oh my gosh. But it was a really terrible crash.
Mm-hmm.
It just changed a lot of things afterwards, especially, with the trucking industry
Yes.
and how they created that bar. And I know for a fact that after, especially what my mom told me, like, they started to slowly renovate that highway. They started to
Wow.
expand it more and more after that accident.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I-90, I mean, I even had a friend in college that lost her ex to the I-90.
Oh, wow.
Because we would take it. When I was in university, we would take that interstate to go to Biloxi when we wanted to get out of the city.
Yeah.
It's a really cool place to go to. Like, if you wanted to, play at the casinos, lay out by the coast, and it's cheap. And there are times where, you could get on the highway at 1 a.m. and get there in an hour.
Wow.
During the day, it would take you like an hour and a half, but at night, it could take you like an hour to 45 minutes.
Wow.
But because, not a lot of people travel, during that time of the night, especially in Louisiana on the I-90, it could be very vacant, and people take advantage of that to the point where they're just flooring it.
Oh.
And with him, like, my friend's ex, he was traveling at 1:30 in the morning with a caravan, and he was in the front of the caravan, and he was accelerating to speeds of, I think it was 85 or 90 miles per hour. They were traveling really fast, and he loses control of the car, and the car flips 4 times. Yeah, it was really bad, but I know that now, like, the interstate is expanded,
Sure.
and definitely well lit.
Yeah. Ugh.
But yeah, it was a really, really sad and tragic end.
Well, especially when you think about for a person whose entire existence, from the time she's 18 until the time she dies, she's just desperate to stay relevant, to stay famous, to stay remembered, and that because of the psychology of canonization and the way we treat celebrities who die, she, like, morosely gets her wish, in essence. Like, whether or not that would have happened, whether she would be as remembered, I think she would not have been. Her career was certainly headed in a downward direction. Whether or not she would have had a second coming or something like that, who can say? But in some ways, her death was the fulfillment of her greatest dream, which is just the saddest thing.
Yeah.
Me.
It really is sad. I will end, this note with a quote from her daughter, Mariska Hargitay, quoted in people.com, and I'll end it in this note because it was really, really sweet. My mother was this amazing, beautiful, glamorous sex symbol, but people didn't know that she played the violin and had a 160 IQ and had 5 kids and loved dogs. She continued to tell people, tearing up, she was just so ahead of her time. She was an inspiration. She had this appetite for life, and I think I shared that with her. In November 2013, Mariska Hargitay was given her own star on the infamous Hollywood Walk of Fame, and they placed that star next to her mom.
They did?
They placed it. So
I
we're
didn't
gonna
know that.
We're gonna end that story on her note because
Aww.
yeah, I mean, like you said, like, she wanted to be in the limelight, and in the end, it's kind of eerie that people remember her for this crash. When you Google her now, and it's so sad, like, the first thing you see is her post-mortem pictures.
Yeah. There's a little clip of an interview that she was doing right around the time that she got her Golden Globe. And this talk show host is asking her, like, you've been nominated, you've won these awards, like, what is your favorite title that you've won? And she just says, well, frankly, my favorite is Mother. And I always found that, like, so touching that, like, even though, she couldn't really just live, like, a simple family life, she really did love her children
She
the
really
most.
did.
And,
She was a
and
good
the
mom.
best that she could. You know what I mean?
And holy shit, how her body snapped back to the same, after 5 kids. My body can't even snap back to where it was after a burrito from
No.
Chipotle.
Mm-mm.
Damn.
I know.
But yeah, she was a good mom.
Yeah.
She made poor decisions.
Yeah, the alcohol, as we know with addiction, it strips you of your best qualities. So it's
Yeah.
like sad that was also part of her legacy. But
Yeah.
like I think at her purest self, she really like loved her children.
Yeah, she did. All right, guys, we're going to take a little break. And then we'll get to the curse and haunting of Jayne Mansfield and her infamous Pink Mansion. After this little promo. Psst, Bryce.
Hey, girl.
Do you know what an RSS feed is?
Really smooth Starbucks?
I thought the same thing too, but nope, it's really simple stuff, or according to Wikipedia, it's a really simple syndication.
Right. That's the thing that Blueberry provided us with when we started our podcast.
Yes, let's be real. None of us knew where to start out while creating our podcast in the beginning, and Blueberry helped us out a lot.
I know. They seriously make everything easy for us podcasters.
Blueberry hosting is highly optimized for using WordPress with PowerPress. Blueberry makes publishing your podcast in 3 easy steps.
Step 1, produce your podcast. 2, write your blog post. 3, publish.
It's like a recipe. WordPress plus PowerPress plus Blueberry hosting equals success.
I like that, a recipe.
Hosting with Blueberry also allows you to be in control. Plus, there are no third-party sites to log into, no contracts, so you can cancel anytime. It's optimized for iTunes and creates support for all platforms.
So, if you're browsing for a new hosting site, or if you're planning to start your own podcast, then Blueberry is the perfect place.
Head on over to our website, hollyweirdparanormal.blueberry.net, scroll down our blog post, and click on the Blueberry tab link.
And use our promo code WEIRD if you're interested in receiving a free month by signing up with Blueberry.com.
Free is a good thing. Start creating with Blueberry.com.
All right, but now I am craving Starbucks.
Let's go, I'll drive.
Yes.
All right, guys. We're here to bring you the booze with boobs.
Ooh.
I know. So, like I mentioned before, Anton LaVey had announced that, Jayne was a victim of her own frivolity. Mm-hmm. And he warned her about the curse, and she ignored it, apparently. No. And there was even talks of him throwing a memorial service that was held in her honor in the Church of Satan, where 30 people reported to seeing some unusual things occur.
Oh, no.
So here we go with the curse and the haunting of Jayne Mansfield, guys, the Paranormal Aftermath. So apparently what happened in this service at the Church of Satan at LaVey's house, 30 people reported that there was a series of amber-colored bulbs that suddenly flared up without explanation, but never shattered. LaVey said that it happened because Jayne wanted to let us know that she was still with us. Others connected to Jayne reported strange happenings. Even Linda Murdrick, Jayne's personal maid for many years, often heard Miklos, who had been injured in the accident, talking to someone when she knew he was alone in the room.
Oh, no.
He told her that he had been talking to his mom, and Murdricks believed that Jayne was somehow communicating with the boy from the other side.
Why are children so creepy?
I know.
Oh, God. Because they do that. They're like, I'm talking to my imaginary friend. And you're like, oh, what's their name? You're like, my grandmother. Oh, God.
Jeez.
Just kill me now.
I'm talking to the man in the closet.
No.
Nowadays, I will definitely call the cops before checking that closet. Because you never know. You never know.
I'm definitely going to get sent to jail if I ever become a father. Because, like, my child will come into my room at, like, 3 a.m. and do something creepy, and I will tase them. Like, it's going to happen. I've seen too many, like, scary movies. I can't do it.
I know.
It's just, oh, God, prison is going to be rough on me, but here we are.
According to AmericanHauntingsInc.com, weird happenings occurred around the Pink Palace, Jayne's former home in Beverly Hills. So it seemed like her energy went from LaVey's house to the Pink Palace. So soon after Jayne's death, Mickey Hargitay was involved in a bad accident just after driving out of the gates of the Pink Palace. Matteo Octaviano, Jayne's third husband, was plagued with troubles. His father had a heart attack, legal problems, closed his nightclub, and his best friend was killed all of a sudden.
Whoa.
It was a mysterious death. So Victor Houston, a young man who worked as Jayne's road manager and who was a constant visitor at the Pink Palace, died suddenly. Linda Murdrick, who also was involved in a terrible car accident, believed that the curse may have lingered its way past the iron gates. But it got worse. Jayne's son Miklos and a friend, a young girl, were playing in a toy electric car one afternoon at the Pink Palace, and the little girl leaned back, and somehow her long black hair entangled around an axle of the electronic toy car. Her long black hair soon just got so tangled up that it just tore out from the roots. Like a section of it tore out from the roots. Yeah. So a lot of people felt that this curse was real and it surrounded the Pink Palace. Your face.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
It's so creepy because there was a chunk of Jayne's hair on the car.
Isn't that eerie?
No.
That's what I thought too. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, this is super conspiratorial, but that is so
Isn't
creepy.
That insane? Yeah. Yeah. My scalp hurt after reading that.
Oh, same.
Others believe the Pink Palace was haunted. Ooh, so bursting water pipes ruined many pieces of furniture, and plumbers who came to repair the damage were allegedly frightened off by moving objects. One painter said that when he was working in Jayne's old room, he felt that someone was watching him, and several times he felt someone touch him on the shoulder. Do not touch me.
That is not consent, ghosts.
No me toques. So eerie moaning sounds were often reported, and servants refused to stay on board. No one was hired, but often left after only a few days in the house. Even Linda Murdrick, Jayne's longtime companion, head maid, and personal assistant, finally quit, stating that I never want to go in that house again. There are too many things that were occurring that were unexplainable.
Oh my God.
Many came to believe that Jayne was still around, angry over the fighting that was going on over her estate. Her spirit, they said, wanted to ensure that her children received their inheritance. Because you see, unfortunately, the Pink Palace was sacked by Octaviano, Jayne's third husband, and his attorney. They locked out the children and Jayne's parents, and then they sold the palace. So Octaviano, I feel like all those bad things happened to him because of that.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, in a way, I'm glad that this curse kind of lingered into his direction. Because that was so wrong. Like, he just, like, kicked everyone out.
How?
Because he was Jayne's third husband.
Oh, so he had, like, oh, God, that's so annoying.
Now, the first occupants of the house were a bank president and his family. Now, this is just a rumor. This is just a story. Right after they moved in, the banker's son found a pink Honda S600 that the late actor Nick Adams had given to Jayne during a brief affair. So the boy started up the car and took it for a spin around the estate, and then decided to try it out on the road.
Oh, God, that is always a mistake.
And in a car, just as he was roaring out of the gates and onto Sunset Boulevard, he was struck by an oncoming car and was killed instantly.
Oh, my God.
The banker and his family allegedly moved out the same day, allegedly. The singer Cass Elliot of the Mamas and the Papas later bought the house and moved in with her husband. She went to London to record some television commercials and left her husband behind to oversee the redecorating of the mansion. Cass's death occurred while she was away.
Oh, Big Mama Cass.
I know, Big Mama Cass. Another occupant of the house also claimed to experience some strange phenomena, as well as the urge to dye her hair blonde and to dress in clothing that had once belonged to Jayne, which she had found in storage. After going to a plastic surgeon for a breast enlargement, she was questioned by concerned friends, but could give no explanation for her strange behavior. She became obsessed with Jayne Mansfield and began spending thousands of dollars to purchase any memorabilia of the actress that she could find. She didn't stay in the house for long, though. One night she claimed that she heard a woman's voice begging her to get out. Aware of the fate that had befallen the two previous tenants, she packed up her belongings and fled the Pink Palace.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You don't, no me toques, don't touch my stuff, don't touch my clothes.
A ghost does not have to beg me to get out. Like, gone, thank you, bye.
Bye. Jane's like, this bitch fucking up my clothes.
I'm begging you to get out. Oh, you just had to say one word, bye.
Bye. The next occupant of the mansion was Beatles star Ringo Starr, who had been a fan of Jayne when she was alive and had been a good friend of hers. Although Ringo mostly used the house for parties and only actually lived in it for a short while, he had the exterior of the pink mansion repainted. Soon, though... Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, like this... No,
That makes
it's gotta
sense.
go.
Yeah, it's gotta go.
Soon, though, the house began turning pink again. Some said that this was because the pink was a hard color to cover, but others claimed that it was Jayne's presence making herself known. The house was repainted over and over again using a sealer and 2 or 3 coats of paint, but it turned to the pink color that it was originally painted before.
No.
Eventually, though, the house was successfully repainted after 121 coats of paint and remained white until it was torn down.
Is that real? 121 coats?
No, I was
I
just
was
joking.
like, oh my God.
But you believe me, right?
Yeah, I did. You got me.
Got you.
Ghost.
The singer Engelbert Humperdinck, I just love his name.
Yes.
Engelbert Humperdinck, who had once been romantically involved with Jayne, purchased the house in 1977. Before moving in, he had the house blessed by a Catholic priest.
Smart.
And issued a statement about the haunting in 1980. So he also claims that there are some strange things going on. He did not believe that the house was haunted any longer, but he did admit to a few unsettling moments. Once after an earthquake, he discovered a section of the yard had settled into a shape of a heart, Jayne's favorite design. Although he first believed that this was perhaps Jayne returning after all, it also was discovered that the heart was a filled-in wadding pool that Jayne had built for the children. Remember? Mickey had built for her and the children. He likely breathed a sigh of relief and was like, oh my God, thank God. Okay, great. So in 2002, Humperdinck sold the house to developers, and it was demolished in November of that year.
Whoa.
Since that time, there have been no further reports of Jayne's ghost, and it seems that the haunting, like many other memories of the vivacious actress, had faded away. Really sad. Yeah, they like every Hollywood landmark around here, it's sold to a development company, and then it's torn down, and a condo is built over it, or another mansion's built over it.
Right.
Yeah. Another mansion was built over it.
That makes me
And
sad.
I've researched, and there haven't been any other claims or hauntings or strange going-ons around that area.
Wow. I mean, it seems like she was maybe so tied to that house itself, which is like a little a-characteristic, I think, of like a normal haunting, right? That's why ghosts can like be perceived as walking through walls or through floors.
Exactly.
Because they're traveling the path that they would have traveled in life. So if there were stairs where there's a wall now, they'll walk through the wall. So I am surprised to hear that, but it seems like her energy was so tied into the house, making it pink. And
Yeah.
so that is very interesting.
It could be her spirit. Another thing that I researched too, when she was having this unusual relationship with LaVey, she invited LaVey, as a PR move, because it was heavily recorded with photographers and everything, of this whole meeting, this whole play date at her mansion. So one day she invites LaVey over. Sam Brody's there.
No.
LaVey comes in, there's photographers, but LaVey actually performed a ritual in her mansion.
No.
So
Jayne, you fool.
Jayne, you fool. Exactly. So there could be a correlation with that. What type of ritual did he perform, and what was left in that residue? You know what I mean?
Ugh.
So I think maybe, she was tied to that, and maybe that's why, part of her energy is there, because it's probably whatever was involved in that ritual kept her energy there. That could be another explanation as well. But something happened. He did something in that mansion just for PR's sake.
He read a children's book.
And lit a candle.
Satan speaks.
All right, guys. So this is the true crime and paranormal aftermath of Jayne Mansfield, Hollywood's tragic blonde.
Aww.
I know.
It's a sad one.
Let us know what you think of the story, what you thought. If you had any personal experiences, if you ever visited her house, up to 2002, let us know. All right, guys. So this is going to segue us into the drawing. Now we got to do this drawing, guys. So this was pretty funny. We barely got names for this drawing since we were
I feel.
giving away a Ouija board. Our listeners
are like, nope, I'll pass on the demon,
Smart.
thanks.
I like smart listeners.
Like I said before, the boards are from our friends at Paranormal
Hi.
Supplies. Hi, guys. Tim is amazing. You can find them at paranormalsupplies.com and on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Paranormal Supplies. So if you are a paranormal nerd, enthusiast, or ghost hunter, or have an interest in any of those, concentrations, they have the tools, accessories for you boos. So go check them out. Now, if you've been following us on social media, then you know that they made us our own Ouija board with our logo, which was nice. Bryce was sweating with excitement when I showed. They also gave us another board to give away. So they do such a great job, and they also make custom Ouija boards, FYI. So we're going to pull the names from the small batch right here.
The mighty few.
We're going to pull the name, and Bryce is going to do the honors right here.
Okay. And the winner is Jayne Mansfield. I'm just kidding. The winner is Nicole Berg.
Yay!
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Hey, you got yourself your own Ouija board.
Yes, it's so cute. If I could look at
know.
it for longer than 5 seconds, I would tell you how cute it was.
I will tell you guys this. I will tell you guys this. I know that in the beginning we talked about Ouija boards and how bad they are, but after talking with one of the owners from the Mystic Museum in Burbank, they have a huge collection of Ouija boards. I think they have a total of 48 of them, and this even a Barbie Ouija board.
Oh, no.
But I was talking to him, and if you guys follow us on Instagram, I did a live field trip to the Mystic Museum when they had the Goosebumps and Tales from the Crypt installation. But he said, a Ouija board can be used for good if you know how to use it, and if you use it positively. It's like a chef using his knife, so you can create something beautiful, a beautiful plate of food. But if you use them incorrectly, you want to kill somebody, then they could, that's a negative use.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so he was like, we use Ouija boards here, especially when we do seances here.
Oh, wow.
But we know how to use it, and we do it with all, light and positivity, and we know how to close it out correctly. And I said, you're right. You are right.
And I ran away.
So congratulations,
Yay,
Nicole. I will
Nicole.
be sending you your own personal Ouija board, girl.
Yes.
Play it with positivity and light. All right. So that also brings us to our spiritual bays of the week, guys. We have 2. First off, we're going to say, hey, girl, hey boo, hey, to our spiritual bays Twisted Sisters podcast. It's a paranormal podcast about ghouls and girls. Put it together and you have the ghouliest girls around. They are 2 sisters from the haunted town of Toole, Utah. That was featured on an episode of Ghost Adventures. They are really sweet, and they did a beautiful sketch of Sharon Tate from the Fearless Vampire Killers because they were inspired by our first episode. It was talent right there, girls. Talent.
I love it.
Show them some pattern love on Instagram and check them out, Twisted Sisters podcast. Second is the Cabinet Podcast. It's a bi-weekly podcast that explores the creepypastas, urban legends, and ghost stories throughout the history of video games, from the rise of the arcade to the modern console of the Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Atari, and Sega. Every episode, host Tim Gibson brings you a new weird or terrifying story based on actual events highlighted through a dramatic narrative. At the end, he'll analyze the truth around the tale using media reports and other sources. So check him out if you love ghosts and video games. Plus, the music on his podcast is 80s nostalgic. It truly makes me want to tech noir with him. Sorry, that was a little thirsty. Tammy can't help it. Ew. So also a big thank you to our listener, David Koo. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, David.
He sent us some great info for this episode, and we just want to say hello and thank you. And
Thank
we
you so much.
adore you, boo.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening and sending us that info. But here's another thing, guys. Before we go, I'm going to cut this music out real quick, all right? So we just want to let you know that Bryce and I decided to surprise you with a mini-sode.
Yes.
That will be in correlation with a live feed on our Instagram starting on my birthday. Happy birthday, Tammy.
Deep breathing.
July 22nd. I'm thinking around 12:30, 1:30 in the morning.
Girl.
Your girl Tammy is going to go out of town for 10 days to celebrate her birthday in NOLA, a.k.a. New Orleans, as a gift to herself.
Yes.
I decided to book a room at the Myrtles Plantation. Bryce is like shaking his head.
It's been really nice knowing you. I've really enjoyed this time together. I'm gonna miss you so much.
I'm a little scared. Not only will I be staying at the Myrtles plantation, guys, I will be staying inside of the house.
Oh.
I will be staying inside the William Winters room, aka the voodoo room, aka the haunted children's room.
Stop.
So here's the big announcement. Hollywood Paranormal does Myrtles plantation.
Yes.
Bryce will be staying in a church in LA praying for me from afar, brewing his coffee with some holy water.
As I do.
As you always do. I'll be staying the night at Myrtles Plantation with a close friend of mine, my thunder buddy, Catherine Barona. Hey, boo. Hey.
Keep her safe.
I know. My sister was originally supposed to come with me, but she got some amazing news, and my girl Catherine will be coming with me. So I found out through this podcast, Paranormal Chicks. They're a Southern podcast. Go check them out. They're really sweet girls. They're awesome. That this is the room with the doll that moves from one section of the room to another.
No. No.
But on their Instagram post, I was looking at it. I was like, that room looks familiar.
No.
I went back to check my hotel reservation online, and it's the same picture. It's like, oh crap, because it's also called the Fanny Winter Prize.
I hate dolls so much. Oh my god.
Are you ready to hear about the bumps in the night that occur in this room?
No.
Oh, we love hearing you get freaked out.
Yeah, great, because it's full on.
All right, guys, I'll be staying in this room. And the bumps in the night in this room that occur, there have been reports of guests hearing what sounds like children giggling and jumping on the bed.
Oh my god.
Guests will wake up and notice that they have been tucked in bed. The sheets.
No. Oh god.
If the sheets are at the foot of your bed, or if they fall off your bed, the children will come in and tuck them in.
Oh god, that is so creepy.
People have woken to the sheets being tucked up all the way to their chin. Like someone had tucked them in.
I also just hate having my feet tucked in. I hate not being able to get them out. So it's like multiple layers of horror. Oh my god.
There is a doll that is in there that has been known to move around the room. It will be, it's usually stationed on the top of the mantle by the fireplace. It's always stationed there. It will move from like the opposite end of the room to the bed to even like the nightstand.
Oh my god.
It's been recorded.
This is ridiculous.
I know.
I'm losing my mind.
I know. I'm so excited. Orbs have been seen floating all over the room. Shadow figures that look like two small children have been seen around the room. So stay tuned July 21st, 22nd, between the hours of 1 a.m. to 2:30, because I found out from the bed and breakfast manager that they are active between the hours of midnight and 3 a.m.
No.
Like they're pretty, like the spirits here are very grounded. They're very noticeable, throughout the day,
Sure.
but they come out and play between the hours of midnight and 3. So we'll be doing a walkthrough of the property, and then we'll follow up with a special edition mini-sode or post-mortem of our experience spending the night in one of America's most haunted places.
Yes.
All I can say is this: if I can survive the Whaley House,
gosh.
which I've done,
Oh
I've
my
done that
God.
tour and our job, then I can survive a night at Myrtles. If Britney Spears, Bryce,
Oh, my favorite quote.
let's say it together. If
Britney
Britney Spears
Spears can
can
survive
survive 2007, then I can survive Myrtles Plantation.
Yes, you can.
Right? And if Bryce can survive the last 15 minutes of this podcast and season 1 of this podcast, then I'm sure that I can survive the Myrtles Plantation.
Look, all I'm going to say... Look, listen, here's the thing. If you come back and your pupils are even the slightest bit dilated, I'm just going to slap the hell out of you.
Just do
Be
it.
gone, Satan. No, in the name of Jesus. I'm going to throw my Starbucks at
Real
you.
quick.
It's going to be...
Real quickly, drink the Starbucks that I had them brew in holy water. Do it. Do it.
Yep. It's going to be real aggressive. So just be warned.
I am going to be bringing my serenite stones,
Yes,
because
smart,
it's the
smart.
stone that is considered to be the Ghostbuster stone. It will protect you or anyone from negative energy.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I had an ordeal at the Whaley House that I will mention when we do that episode.
Yes, it's
eventually, I saw a lot of things. I have documentation of things that had followed me around the house.
Oh my God.
But that mantra that we always say, you know, I acknowledge you, I respect you, please respect my space. But I tell them, look, if you want to make communication with me, you can do it. Just don't touch my hair.
That is the big one. Yep.
Don't touch me.
Yep.
No me toques.
No.
But the children I'm a little worried about because kids don't tend to listen.
Oh,
so
God, they really just are the worst.
I was watching this YouTube video of this family that went there, and the girls, right when they set foot on the plantation, they were saying it felt like children tickling their ankles.
No. No. Oh my God. This is just ridiculous.
So guys, follow our social media.
Yay.
Let's have them follow us on our personal social media. Where can they find you, Bryce, on Instagram?
My Instagram is The Smirking Assassin.
And I'm at Supernaturally Tammy with an I, because I dropped the E, because that's how Starbucks spells my name. They always do. They always drop the E. But I'm Supernaturally Tammy, so I'll be posting my adventures of my NOLA trip. I always do, because I always go to NOLA for my birthday. Got to spend time with my family.
Yes. Beignets.
Etouffee.
Yes.
My mint juleps, my Abita beer, my friends, Magazine Street. Oh,
That
St.
sounds
Charles.
amazing.
It is amazing. So guys, catch us next week.
Yes.
With our little mini-sode. We're doing this post-mortem. We're going to do this. We're going to test it out. But I went on Instagram and was asking everyone, like, if you want this, we'll do it. Because I know that our podcast is primarily Hollywood, but Hollyweird can definitely extend past California.
Yes, it can.
To the south.
We're going to the south.
We're going to try eventually to get Bryce to come with me.
I will go to
New Orleans. To New Orleans.
I'm going to make shop
I'm gonna
in
make this
the
happen.
entire city.
We might do a Patreon page.
I love it.
Guys, let
That's
us know if
hilarious.
you want to do a Patreon to send Bryce to NOLA next summer.
The problem is that they're going to do that thing. They're going to be like, yeah, I'll give money, but he has to go in the ghost house. I'm like, oh, guys,
A ghost house, a ghost tour, a cave tour, tunnel tour.
No. Oh, my God. No.
Guys, I'm gonna do a post about that.
That is so absurd.
I'm going to post a poll on Instagram, so you guys let us know. All right, guys, if you want to stalk us, please follow us at Hollywood Paranormal in Facebook and Instagram. We're at Hollywood Paranormal. If you'd like to send us a personal hello or send us another note, say what's up, have a ghost story of your own, send it our way to hollywoodparanormal@gmail.com. We've had a couple of stories. Jonathan, you shared one.
I will never be the same. I really won't. If you guys haven't, I think it's season 1, episode 10. It is genuinely the most scared I've ever been.
Yes.
In the moment.
Oh, yes.
It freaked me out on such a core level.
Oh, my God, yes.
So thanks, Jonathan.
Yes, and thank you guys for leaving reviews on our Facebook.
It's been such a cool week.
It's been such a... Oh, my God, thank you. You guys have been so amazing. All of you have been really great. Thank you for, posting those reviews, giving us those 5-star ratings. Rate us what you will, rate us what you want, but we really do appreciate you guys making the effort to go
really
rate
cool.
us. Thank you so much. If you have Apple Podcasts, please give us a 4-star review, whatever you feel, whatever you want, preferably 5, and write us a review, because it really does help us indie podcasters become more visible. Not just us, but everyone else. We're all in this together, guys. We all like telling a story. And if you don't have Apple Podcasts, you can definitely catch us on Podknife, Podbay, Blueberry.com, Castbox, and SoundCloud, and much, much more.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. All right, guys. Always remember to stay Hollyweird, friends.
Yay.
Yes. Bryce, do you have any words you want to say?
Thanks.
Go enjoy your bar mitzvah.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.